Yep.
So,
You ready? Okay. This time I'd like to call our meeting to order. We have one addition to the agenda, and we will put that in as 9A. The SBRC administrative costs with River Hills. And with that change, I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? So the motion carries. So item 3, review and approve the minutes from the November 9th, 2015 meeting.
we actually have several sets of minutes. We have the workshop on November 4th also. Which is just very short and simple.
Do they need to be approved separately or?
No,
No.
we'll just approve them all together.
So does anybody have any questions on them, or? Okay.
Any
Laura?
others?
Any questions? Okay. So you need a motion to approve the minutes for the meetings from November.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? So the motion carries. And the financial reports.
We're going to look into the bills, look at the balances. Cash balances on general fund, 1.1 million. Management fund is about 160,000. PEPAL, we've got a total of about 600,000. 1 cent sales tax is 351,000. Nutrition fund has a balance of 63,186. Is that after being 23,000 back? That's before paying back the 23,000 that we're going to approve as part of the bills tonight back to the general fund. So that'll leave us a balance of about 40,000 there. Activity fund has a balance of about 307,000. Trust and agencies 141,000. And CDs are about 114,000.
I did get savings accounts set up for all of the different funds this last month, so I'm just in the process of waiting for all those checks to clear so I can figure out where the money needs
And then
to
we'll
transfer
start
out. Because it
collecting
made
interest on those.
me close
So
all
what-
the accounts and then
What
reopen.
accounts?
Like, we only have 4 checking accounts instead of, is there 8?
Yeah, 8 or 10.
So then just the monies will flow into those 4 accounts and then everything else will just have a savings account until you pay a bill and then it'll get transferred into a checking. So we earn some better interest on that money.
General fund receipts are about 38% for the year of what we expect to spend. Disbursements, we sent out about 30, just under 30%. Last year at this time, we'd taken in about 37% and sent out about 37%. So we're about 9% behind what we had expended at this point. Doing well.
Any questions on the financial
I
reports?
had a couple on the checklist theme, just general one. Continuum Retail Energy Services, what is that?
That is natural gas for the Allison building.
Marco, it said Staples for $213.58. Is that actually?
For the
sta-
copiers, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay, special Staples to Staples.
Yes.
Copier, okay. Thomas Bus Repairs, that's something that was outside of our lease agreement, because I thought it was bumper to bumper warranty.
Unless the bumpers are dented or something gets broke.
So that was for like,
I think we had something that broke.
It's in there. I can look.
I think that's when you told me it was for oil changes, right?
No, that was a different one. That was the,
that's downtown, right?
No,
The
buses.
bus sales
Okay.
for $749.
Yep.
I don't remember. Here, it's right here. Stop arm camera. It's for $711. And the other one was a red,
Red light.
red brake light.
Yep.
That's not covered?
The stop arm camera, it's an older bus, it was one of the older buses.
Oh, okay.
And the cameras, no, the cameras wouldn't be covered under the warranty because they were put under,
Okay.
there is something else.
Yeah, they wouldn't bus issue equipment.
Separate?
Well, they come as part of the lease, but yeah, it's a separate thing, they're not covered under the warranty, that warranty anyway.
And their iPads, were those from a previous, like $5,635 for iPads?
What was the company?
Apple.
Last month?
They were to replace some of the ones that stopped working.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah.
And what was our amount that has to come in? Is it, how much?
Before it comes to the board, 5,000.
Okay, because that one, I mean, is that something that should have come to you? I mean,
I think it did.
But it wasn't probably, there might have been more than one thing that goes
Yeah.
into one check.
Okay.
There were two orders. One was the
Oh,
board
okay.
order of iPads,
Okay,
and then there was another $3,000 one that was to replace some of them. So they could have gone through as two different orders.
okay. That's all the questions I had.
Oh, okay.
I had, so then under, I think it's under the activity fund, it says tailored physical therapy, FB coverage.
Yep, that's to have the trainer at football, home football games.
Like an emergency person?
We, no, an athlete, we're required now by the state to have an athletic trainer, the home team provides them,
Okay,
so that's what that is.
and then on
So I was
the,
wrong, what I told you.
under debt service, I don't know if you guys see that one where it says Mid-American and Research, and then it says lease
Mm-hmm.
for 1,800. I talked to Shelley, and she said that's really copy or lease, it's supposed to be
And it's Marco.
marked.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
avoided that check and wrote a different one, which would show up on the
Okay.
checklist in front today.
And then the WC mechanical for repairs, that was for the boiler.
I think it was for piping to the boiler. We
Yeah,
had some-
after the inspection, I
Yeah.
think we had some things we had to fix
Yeah.
for both.
Both buildings.
And then when you guys, use vendors, you guys usually pick like Allison or Green, like you keep it local.
As much as
right?
we can, yeah.
As much as we can.
Yeah.
Well, that was my other one on here, Menards. What did we buy at Menards?
There was some fencing
Fencing.
stuff.
It was part of the track
that-
project, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the playground, I think, wasn't it?
yeah, it could have been the playground fencing, yeah.
The Boy Scout project, I think he was getting it
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that answers that.
Any other questions on the financial reports or checks? Okay, we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? So motion carries. Public items of discussion. Nothing there. Board items of discussion.
We got several things here tonight. First, we need to set a January board meeting date. The 14th doesn't work for Shelley. She'll be back on the 14th, but just on the 14th, so,
No,
right?
I'm off the week before.
Right.
Going down to that training, so I
Yeah.
won't be able to be ready.
Right.
Won't have those
Okay,
road or
right,
anything like
yeah.
that.
So we need to
Oh,
move it
yeah,
back.
so you're right.
Yeah. So we need to move it back
Right.
a little bit. And then we also need to look at a date in January to have a workshop. So we're gonna have to start looking at a lot, at negotiation stuff really heavy and following year stuff, so. Calendar, stuff like that, so we need 2 dates.
I know the
Actually,
following
we
Monday.
could do them both the same night if you wanted to.
No, the one after, the
21st?
Yeah, I'm gonna be gone a Friday to a Monday, the 22nd through the 25th, maybe I'll be gone. But otherwise, I wouldn't do any time
Any
in the
other
month.
date will
Yeah.
work for me other than the 18th,
Oh, I
because
see.
I have
Yeah.
Clarksville's board meeting that night.
Actually, the 11th is supposed to be a regular meeting.
Right.
Yep.
What about the week, what's the following week after Shelley gets back?
The
It's
18th through the 22nd.
What if we do the following week, like the
The 18th is Martin Luther King Day.
What's that
But I
Wednesday
mean,
look
the
like?
week after.
There's nothing there on Wednesdays.
Yeah, what could we do it on, like Tuesday or Wednesday? 7th?
Oh, that's getting awful late,
Yeah,
For bills.
yeah.
I would say a Wednesday night would be better because you keep away from basketball.
How about the 19th or the 20th?
Wednesday might, you're off on Wednesdays, right?
Kind of.
That might.
Maybe not so much this winter, but
Okay, but that might work good if you were off that day and we could start earlier and have the workshop and the board meeting all on the same night.
that's fine.
Yeah, I'm fine with whatever.
So
Me
we'll,
too.
why don't we try like the 20th and start at 4:30?
Okay.
Well, how early can you be here?
I could be here probably by 5.
So we can start at 5?
Yeah.
So we'll go at 5 o'clock on Wednesday the 20th?
And then start with the board meeting, do the workshop afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
No.
5 a.m. on the 20th.
Make it 4.
I'm game for that, I'm usually up.
I'll stay up for the night before.
Yep.
You should be drinking, wouldn't you? No, Shelley can't. And board meeting.
Got a couple other things too. Eric and I both received a letter from the Allison Public Library. The board of the library has just basically said that they want to be leaders in preserving local history. If there's any of the trophies and other things from the Allison Bristol School District that we'd like to get rid of, they'd be more than happy to place it there. So when we get to our board workshop, that might be something we want to discuss. There's all kinds of stuff out in the portable buildings already, then there's some other things. We've kept the most important ones out right now, but maybe it's something we talk to them about and see what they want and where to put it. I think I would like at some point to put some of that stuff up here at the high school and have both the Green and the Allison have separate trophy cases for them and another one for where it's all together with North Butler. So there's all that history there. Don't think we hide that stuff, so. And then the last thing I have tonight is we had one student go through and finish all the paperwork and the letter and everything to be on the school board, to be our student member. That was Addison Johnson. The letter that Addison wrote, I will read to you now. Successful people are always looking for opportunities to help others. Unsuccessful people are always asking, what's in it for me? And that's a quote from Brian Tracy. When I heard about this amazing opportunity, I didn't see it as a way to amp up my resume. Instead, I saw it as a way for me to make connections with the members of my community and make the lives of my fellow students better. I want to be the student representative to the North Butler School Board because I am so deeply involved in the North Butler community. Green has always been my home. My parents instilled me with the hometown pride that can be found in many rural Midwestern communities. I attended parades, picnics, sporting events, concerts, and fundraisers. It was important that I talk to adults and make connections with the people living in my little corner of the world. They taught me the importance of having big dreams, working hard to achieve them, and never forgetting where I come from. My community has molded me into the person I am today. My experience with others has led me to my aspiration of attending the University of Northern Iowa next year for communications. I want to create films and documentaries that show people worlds they would never see otherwise. More importantly, I want to directly impact the lives of people around me. My deepest desire is to expand my abilities as a leader and inspire others to find the best in themselves. This opportunity gives me a chance to change the lives of the students of North Butler. I can show them that they really have a say in the policies put into place by the school board. I will also be able to improve my own communication skills by connecting with the students on topics they want addressed and connecting with members of the school board to address these topics. This is my chance to change my community. Opportunities like this come once in a lifetime. My roots in the community enforce my dedication to this position. The experience in leadership positions like this one can only help to sculpt me into a more balanced man. This position is more to me than a simple title. It is my way of giving back to the people who have given so much to me. I think Addison did a very nice job with that.
Thanks.
Good job.
So I guess I would recommend that when we get started here, we welcome Addison to the table and have him be our student representative. I don't think we need formal action on that probably, so. And they present next, so. Liz had some things that she
Do you
wanted
wanna
to
pull
discuss.
up
Yep.
that, there are just a couple things, which Eric and Mr. Foster and Bobby saw this, but, the keynote speaker on the second day from the Iowa School Board Convention was from a Georgia school, and he just had some really good points about,
Division practice procedure.
no, but, well, we can switch the other one,
What's it called?
Leadership and
Leadership.
yeah, leadership in the time of the challenge. And that's just the cover, and it has contact information for different people at this school. But there were questions on this brochure that I thought, like maybe when we do our workshop, that would be really great for us to go through. And I thought the most powerful one was number one. Does education in our district look like it did 40 years ago? Probably, it does. It's pretty similar. So it's something that we want to change, and it was just, all these questions led their district to powerful strides in education. And really their scores went from nothing to, you know, maybe they had 20% graduation rates to 60% now. So just by change, and challenges are hard, but by evaluating our programs and working more together and
Empowering our
everything.
staff.
Yeah, empowering our staff and teachers can really help us move forward. So I thought this is something that we could read over and use in our workshop.
And the video that he showed the small clip of by
Mhm.
Sir Ken Robinson, I think, I've shown that in a board meeting before. I think next month that might be a good thing for us to watch
Yeah.
as a board. It's like 8 or 13 minutes long or something like that, but it's very powerful.
Yeah, it's very good.
I can
Okay.
write that down.
So then the next document, I listened to Joel Blackwell that same day, or no, the day before, and he's the grassroots guy. So it kind of went along with our, I can't think what we had.
Legislative.
Yeah, the legislative forum on how we really need to advocate for our district, for schools, for students, for education everywhere. And this just kind of breaks it down. The ARM was an acronym that he used. Attitude, develop relationships with your community, with the students, with the teachers, with the legislators. Know them, know your district number, and let your message be known to everyone. Form a coalition with other schools, with businesses throughout the communities, and go to the legislators together, not just like as a school board member, but go with another business, go with another school, go with students, go with parents, because it will be really powerful to the legislators. And he had these 7 parts when you're writing a letter or when you're contacting really anybody for anything. I thought this was very good. You know, make sure you tell them who you are, not just, hi, my name is Liz Schroeder, but hi, my name is Liz Schroeder. I went to kindergarten in Green, Iowa. I've lived here my whole life. I'm dedicated to this community. I have 3 kids. The money, the education that impacts my life, it impacts jobs in our community. It just, you know, go on, and tell your story. Tell what's happening to your school. Tell what's happening in your community. And then make sure you tell them what you want, because sometimes you get, you know, off task and talk too much, like maybe I do. And then tell them why it's a good idea. Again, like keep bringing it back to how it directly is going to impact the district. Ask for what you want again, and ask them when you can expect an answer. How are we going to know that you're listening? What action are you going to take because of, you know, what I'm telling you? And then make sure you always follow up and thank them. So he wrote a book too, but he had a very good talk, and just reiterated that we need to keep contacting our legislators at all levels, not just school board members, but we need to try really hard to get the community involved, and the more people that talk to them is really going to help. So,
And I got an advocacy thing from the IASB also, so I'll scan this in,
okay.
and I'll put that, and I'll take them both, and I'll put them out on my blog. So
Yeah,
people can see 'em.
that'd be good to share that stuff with the community, even this other thing. I'm not gonna go over everything else. I went to a special education one also, which basically taught me that our board role is just to make sure that we're following the IEPs. They went through some legal stuff, but I thought, and all these handouts, we can go to the IASB website and get any of the PowerPoints too if we decide we wanted to share them. And I went to a couple other ones on teacher leadership, and I thought another thing we could maybe talk about, or even in professional development, see if any of the teachers would be interested in like Skyping with some of these school districts or going to visit, not just like the administrators, but actually the teachers going. Because these schools that are doing the teacher leadership right now are just really excited. It's really doing good things. In the one school, they did a lot of different surveys, and again, their scores, I mean, have gone up dramatically, and I think it's their 3rd year that they're doing the teacher leadership. And the most powerful thing that they said to me about teacher leadership was, it's for feedback. It's not criticism. It's not the administrator. The teacher leaders are not coming in to evaluate the teachers. They're going in to ask for feedback. What can I help you? And if you say, oh, I want to use this research strategy next week, I don't have time to research it. Can you research it for me? Bring it back to me. So it's just like keeping the communication open, always knowing what the schedule is, never going in unannounced. But I thought there was a lot of good messages that maybe as we start out with this that we could take from it, and just, again, empowering our teachers to be involved more in this. So that's all.
We can get notes.
Thanks. And I can scan these in more and share them, but I didn't have time to type them all up. So I just thought I'd share that. Thanks for letting us go, and it was very good
That's, yeah. it's
Learning
usually a pretty good
opportunity.
opportunity.
for the district. I think you can bring some good things back.
It's also a nice opportunity if we have, like, if we know we have projects coming up, then we can connect with some people there. And get
Right.
And
more
we
than one
did make
face
some
in.
connections about a contest that's going on that we
Yes.
need to get our kids involved in, so.
I'll get I don't have
I
the
had a guy-
information yet.
I had a
It's-
guy email me and I haven't had a chance to get back to him yet, but it was one of you guys.
Is it from Structure and Mark?
No, it
Okay.
was somebody else.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Guys, you ready?
Yep. Mr. Foster, are you hooked up to the projector there?
Wirelessly.
All right, that's perfect. Why don't you go ahead and type into your address bar, if you will, www.northbutler.org. Do you have anywhere you want us to stand, or
Nope.
right here about fine?
Is it all right with you if I take over your computer for this?
Absolutely.
So I'm Addison Johnson. Tyler Holm is here at the computer, and standing with me here is Andy. And we are members of the North Butler Integrated Mass Media class. And we came to the school board last May and kind of presented our idea for this class to you with our advisor, Mr. McAlpine, who could not make it tonight. And we just wanted to kind of give you an idea of the progress that we've made and kind of just show you what we've been doing since we last talked. So what we proposed to you last May was that the class recreate the North Butler website to make it a lot more cohesive and kind of make it a lot more user-friendly. And also one of our other goals was to kind of branch out to the community. And as you can see here, this is the website, and it is currently up and running. There's still a lot of bugs in it, and it's kind of it needs some tweaks, but I think we've done some really, really good progress. As you can see here, Tyler's just kind of going through. One of the biggest things that we focused on working on was the nav bar here at the top. And if you recall from the old website, it was just kind of a lot of jumbled up stuff on the side of the page, and you had to look through it for ages. But we tried to make it so that if you just hover over some of the things, like for example, the students, if they need to find some of their things, it's really easy for them to just go up to the student tab, look through the drop-down menu, and see where they need to go. They can find their daily announcements, access to their grades through JMC, the lunch menu, the school calendar, and even access their Edmodo right from that drop-down. Other times, like if you're a parent and you want to go on the website, you can go to that drop-down, check your students' grades, maybe register a new student, or go through the school board minutes, or really do whatever. There's a lot there, and it's everything from the old website just kind of piggybacked onto the new one. If you'll scroll down, Tyler. This is the home page that you land on, and as you scroll down, you can see everything that you really need to know is right there. There's the contact us, and then further down is the administration, and just a little bit of our recent news. There's also a map showing where the high school is, we're trying to work on figuring out how to have both the high school and the elementary featured on that map, but we haven't quite got there yet. For the future of this website, there's a lot more that we can do. We really want to work on making all of the pages a lot more aesthetically pleasing. Right now, they're just kind of, if you'll go to, say, go over to in community, Tyler, and go down to athletics, yeah.
Words right now.
Yeah. Right now, it's just kind of words, and some of them are links to other websites that the community members have made. But we'd really like to add some more pictures all over the place and just make it really look friendly. There's a lot of other pages that we just need to remake and just kind of work on making them a lot better looking. All of this is subject to change, of course, because as I discussed with Mr. Huff, this is your website, and really, we want your feedback. We really do. We want this to be something that you guys are proud of, and something that we're proud of, and something that our community is proud of, because this is just it's somewhat of a unique website, and it's also a really well organized, and we're really proud of this website. We're going to open up for questions now, actually, if you have any questions for us.
Would your team always manage it? 'Cause as, you know, different people move through, are you guys in charge of managing and updating and?
Mm-hmm. Right now, it's the integrated mass media class that is in charge of it, and we have access to editing the website, and we're going to pass that on as we, as Tyler and I are seniors this year, we're going to pass that on to the underclassmen like Andy here, and the new members of the class that come in.
How many do you have?
Right now, yeah, it's a very limited class. Right now, it's actually just Tyler, myself, and Andy in the class. And I think, and Drew Johnson too, who couldn't make it tonight. But I think at semester, we'd like to add a few more students into the class, and that way we can kind of get them ready for next year so that they'll be ready.
That's good, because I don't know if Mr. McAlpine's talked about the other projects yet or not.
And that's actually what Andy's here to talk about. He has been working on a project himself.
Yeah. So I don't know how you would like to get this shown, like how you want me to connect to a server, but I have my app open right now as my project.
Can you email it to me?
You require this program, it's so big the size right now.
It's kind of complicated how it works, but Andy
Yeah.
has been working on making an app for Android and also
Can you just
iOS.
Can you hold it?
Well, yeah. So it's kind of tiny, but what it is, it's Android, and I'm hoping to make it for an iPhone too. It's an application.
You can hook, we probably need the little dongle thing too, the white.
Is there one over there? Right in the corner.
I don't know if there's
Behind
the,
you in the corner with the roll of wire.
I don't know if there's the white thing that goes with it.
No, there's
Do I need to disconnect?
Probably so.
Do you have the remote over there?
Yep.
As they're getting set up, when we talk about a class of 3, they're doing this as kind of independent study with Mr. McAlpine actually is the teacher, but there's no class period. They have different times at study halls or flex learning time. They meet with the teacher and kind of he supervises them and they are working on projects, etc. Mrs. Holm kind of had worked with these kids, I think last year, and now Mr. McAlpine, and they're trying to branch out into some
I actually have a couple of things to
website.
report about with these guys.
Yeah,
of the
some
things that-
videos and maybe work on like a news production, a news video they could show each week, and they're kind of the pioneers and groundbreaking and doing what we can, and they're doing a great job with it.
One thing that we're gonna have this group do, and I'll just talk about it now instead of in my report while they're hooking up, is that we're gonna work with these guys. Dan and Eric and I met with Jeff Cobb from Butler County Economic Development last week. And these boys are gonna make a video for the school district and another one for each of our 3 communities. And we'll put those out on the district website, and they'll be able to go out on the communities' websites, and we'll make paper pamphlets too, and they can go in realtor's office, to the banks and things like that to help bring people into our communities. One of the things we're gonna do to set that up, and I don't know if they know about it yet, is Mr. McAlpine and I are working on setting up a tour for these guys down at KWWL to kind of see what goes into making some of those professional videos and things. I got to meet with Jerry Gallagher when we were down at IASB and got to talking to him and exchanged some emails with him, and so we're gonna get that set up. I don't know if it'll be before Christmas yet or right after Christmas break here, but we'll go down there and you can get a tour of the station, and they'll show them how they do some of the things down there. And we wanna make sure that we're putting out a high quality product that economic development can use, and he had some good ideas for us when we met to help promote our communities within the Cedar Valley.
And some resources we can use
Yep.
if we needed to.
Yep. That's something I'm gonna talk about in my report, since we had a little time there. I think we'll do some really good things, and there's gonna be some other classes involved in that too. The 7th and 8th grade social studies classes are gonna do some research on the communities for us, and then Mr. Thompson's marketing class I'll work on dialing that up just a little bit for us, and then these guys will put the final products together. Don't know if you knew about that yet or not.
Yeah, Mr. McAlpine actually told us, I think it was just this morning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that opportunity. I think
That's
it's gonna
what he
be
said, so.
a lot of fun and should be a good learning experience too.
But this is one of those areas when we talk about empowering our staff. Dan and I have really kind of turned the leash loose on Mr. McAlpine, and we've told him, whatever you need to do, like the newscast thing, whatever, just do it. There's all kinds of really neat things we can do out there and draw some more kids into this program.
That'd be great.
Alright, so this is what Andy uses to edit his app, and I have to admit I have no clue what's going on here. This is a lot more coding than anything that we do for the website. Our website is a lot of,
Organizing and design.
yeah, it's a lot more block style.
What's the platform you guys are using?
We're using what's called Squarespace.
Squarespace. Is that a free site?
No, it's not. It's actually, I don't know if we have the,
The $8 a month plan?
yeah. Somehow it was approved. I don't recall how that was.
In May it was.
And yes, in May it was approved.
Alright, so what I have here is a program called Eclipse, and basically what it allows me to do is just see what I'm making and how I'm making it. So I can go over here and I can code anything that I want. I can put in any sort of script or anything like that. But I can also go over to here, and if I want to be simple about it, I could say take this and just add a large button. And there it is.
And what is your goal for this app, Andy?
So what I'm trying to do here is basically create a simpler version of the school website with more features for mobile, so that you don't always have to carry a computer around, and when you want to see the school website or something like that, then you don't have to go through resizing and all the struggles with using the internet and things like that. So this has currently only this front page is completely done. It's got the elementary, and then it's got middle and high school. And the whole point is to just have a lot of simple features. So when I get done with it, it's gonna have the lunch menu, it's gonna have the schedule, but then it can also have personalized features, so they can have their JMC already logged in and things like that. And I have one other page started that you can't see right now, but this connection is bad. I have a second page started right now, but I don't have a lot of work done because I've done a lot of learning while doing this. I've learned a lot about this app and how to use it, but I've also done a lot of coding, and I've learned a lot of different things throughout this coding, just using the app in general. I have a feature called an emulator that I can use to preview the app on my computer and see if it runs and how it runs, so that instead of having to send it to my phone every single time I change something and then check it and then delete it and then change something and then resend it, I can just simply go to it right here. And it's kind of slow, but, and it's formatted weird right now, but it does work, and I can click on things. It's got all the buttons, the same thing a phone would. I was doing some testing with logging things and stuff like that, but it works really well, and it helps me out a lot, and it makes the process a lot simpler just to have the simple bit over here, just drag and drop, but I can also do my own coding and customize anything that I want. So it seems to be coming along well, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And I'm open to feedback from anybody if they would like to suggest anything that I should put on it, or if you think a different name would be fine. Right now I have it called the Bearcat. I did a little survey through the teachers and asked them what they thought it should be called, and that's kind of what it came down to, so. Yeah.
So this is like if I went to the website with my phone, there might be some thing that says download the mobile app.
We could do that.
And then somehow or somewhere you like these other KWWL, you download somewhere from somewhere the mobile app. Is that something that someone would find in the App Store, or?
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, we can get it on the App Store.
Is it, I'm curious about that process. Is that just, you have an app, you get it on there, or do you have to pay,
That's
or?
a long process.
Yeah, it's a long
Yeah, you have
process.
to
You
make an
do some
account
filling out
with the,
forms and things like that, but it is possible.
Usually the fee for submitting an app to an app store is not very much. Like, I think $20 is like the max for like a free app.
and on Android, I don't even think you need to use the App Store, it'd just be harder to find if we didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this, I didn't hear it being, is this something right now mainly for Android?
Yeah, mainly right now, this is just for Android, but I
Okay.
think later when I get more into it and I
Yeah.
get more done with it, I'm gonna see if I can cross-platform into iPhones and things like that.
And this is just kind of a side project that Andy's working on, and he's putting a lot of effort for this.
Yeah, and he hasn't had as much time to work on it as us either, because he just changed his project recently, so.
Yeah.
A lot
But
of
I think
this-
that just this really shows the value of this kind of a program. These guys have kind of a very big interest and a passion, and they're kind of, there's a whole new way to learn now that you can go on the internet and you can teach yourself, so to speak, about any of these things. It's just having the time and the patience to trial and error and get there. So I'm pretty excited about what these guys are doing, you know, out there on their own with, you know, they've got guidance from Mr. McAlpine, but he probably doesn't know necessarily how to do all this stuff and couldn't teach it, but they're finding out you can teach yourself all this stuff out there.
Yeah, that's exactly right, because we are almost completely self-taught, and we're advised by Mr. McAlpine on maybe go this direction or maybe go that direction, but everything that we learn in creating what we create is kind of self-taught. So as you can see, we've made a lot of progress so far this year, only at the semester, and we hope that we can make a lot more progress. Thank you for your time, and I think we're done with our presentation.
Can you guys touch it, just one other thing? They do it so often that they've probably forgotten about it, as other students do, but you guys help a lot of folks.
Yes.
Teachers,
yeah,
students.
We help out all the
Almost every
time.
day.
There's a lot of kids who come, hey, how do we do this? They're kind of our tech team, so to speak.
Mhm. Yep.
Almost every day I get somebody coming to me with a question, whether it be simple or complicated, but I won't stop until I figure out an answer to it.
Sure.
Otherwise it bugs me too.
Are there any other questions? Great.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. So Addison, you wanna come sit up here with us?
Yeah,
Looks
sure.
like you're gonna be on the board with us. I guess if you have questions or input, throw it out at us.
Will do.
Okay. Item 8, approve early retirement application for Rick Baker.
As of right now, the only early retirement application that we have is from Rick Baker, so we would need to approve his early retirement application and his resignation effective at the end of the day on December 31st. And I would recommend we accept that.
Any questions?
In his contract, did it say in there that he cannot work for the district any longer? Does it say that, but it's up to the board? Does it say that at the bottom somewhere? Are the classified in the,
I have to go back and look.
that was my only concern, like,
You mean
if
in
somebody
the
wanted
early
to come.
retirement package?
Yeah, at the
I
end,
don't
I
think-
thought it said somewhere that you cannot work for the district
In the early retirement package or in his contract?
In your early retirement
in
package.
the early retirement. That was my only concern, that if it did say that,
I
if he
know if-
wants, but it's, I think in the end, there's a clause that
I
says
think-
it's up to the board's
Right,
discretion, so
yeah.
even though it says that, like, if you wanted to come back and sub or something later
Or
on.
drive a bus or
Or drive a
something?
bus, then it would just be up to us to
He's not real
approve it.
excited about that either.
Well,
Is he
I
gonna
would-
continue to drive bus for us though?
He can't, right?
Not for 4 months.
No, yes, he can.
Oh, he can? Oh, he said I was told in 4 months.
That's because IPERS doesn't realize that we make all of our subs requalify for IPERS.
Oh,
So he won't be in a IPERS.
okay.
I don't remember what the board policy is.
It was, well, let me just go back and pull it up from
Oh,
last month, right?
I think so.
That was last month, right? Right.
Take me just a second.
Are the certified and classified just?
Pretty much.
They're pretty much the same.
Yeah.
It's like the very end of the contract. That was my only, but maybe it's okay because it did say it's up to the board's discretion.
Yeah, I think.
And-
In the end, it said it's like, I think it was to more avoid like somebody retiring and then coming back into the same position. I think that was the point of it.
And I think the teachers are different than the, like the classified staff, you know, is how the contracts read with IPERS and stuff. I'm not
Mhm.
positive on that, but I think that's how it is.
I just gotta get down to it. It's 413.6. My computer's still catching up. Deduction of course. So you thought it said that they couldn't be
Yes.
I know there's something in there that was
Says-
Rick Engel wrote the certified one last year.
I thought the actual, but see, I don't think the contract. had
It's-
all
Yeah,
of
it
it
just
on.
says unless the board of directors votes to allow reemployment and that's in the best interest of the district, so we're fine.
What's the purpose then of having that in there?
Lawyer.
Okay. It just seems, no, I'm fine. I approve whatever, somebody else do it.
I'll make a motion.
Accept. Okay, do we have a second?
I will second it. I can speak that.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? So the motion carries, and give Rick our thanks. Item 9, discuss an action on the early payoff of the revenue bonds.
There's revenue bonds that were taken out in 2007 by the Allison Briscoe District. They come due in 2017. I think it was last year, yeah, it was last year at our budget workshop. I was talking to Matthew Gillespie from Piper Jaffrey, who that was done through. And we got to talking about, you know, having the amount of infrastructure money that we have sitting around and what the payoff would be on that. And we'd originally talked about doing this in December, and then I got busy with other stuff and kind of forgot about it, and then I found it again, and so we got talking about it, and I got the new payoff on it. And the payoff on this revenue bond, which comes out of 1 cent sales tax, the payoff right now would be $96,802.22. It would save us about $6,500 in interest fees over the next 2 years, year and a half. They come due, like I said, on June 1st, 2017. I think with what we have sitting in our infrastructure funds, our 1 cent sales tax, that it would be in our best interest to save the $6,500 interest at this time and to pay this off. If the board does decide to do this tonight, tomorrow Shelley and I have to get it right back to the lawyers, since it's a 30-day window with the holders of the bond, which I don't remember who that is at this point. But it's all bankers. No, it's bankers,
So
trust.
I'm-
Bankers trust.
So is it 2 bonds that we're paying off? Because from looking at.
Yeah, it's 2 bonds. It's one for 2016, one for 2017.
Okay, so the way I'm reading it, there's 1 bond for 80,000 and 1 bond for 85,000, which is a total of 165,000.
Right. They already
So-
have in reserve $69,000 of our money
What do you mean in reserve? Where's that money sitting?
with Bankers Trust.
Okay, so then you want us to pay the 96,802,
Yes,
and what account is that gonna come out of?
sales tax.
Okay, so is that the same money like if we were to re-roof
Yes,
the building, that's the same pot?
Yep.
That the money would come out of?
correct.
And we know that both buildings, the roofs are pretty bad.
But that could come out of Pepple too. The roof at Allison just needs to be resealed. The roof up here has different sections that we'll have to do. I've been meeting with a guy from, I don't remember the name of his company right now, but he and I are gonna meet after Christmas sometime. He's gonna give us a rough idea what a couple of the sections up here would cost to do. If we decide to do it all at once, we're looking at probably a lot of money, somewhere in the $750,000 to $1 million range, so it might be something where we look at doing some QZAP bonds or some revenue bonds to do that.
But see, and that's my biggest thing, because right now with bonds, I mean, they go off of your enrollment numbers, and our enrollment numbers are down. So it'd be,
The total amount you can borrow with revenue bonds goes off what we get in our sales tax. And right now, that's jumped up to about $50,000 a month, which is about $600,000 a year.
I'm just wondering if we should, if we're kind of jumping the gun right now, maybe we should get bids on how much it's gonna cost to fix the roofs before we look at paying off these bonds, because this is just 2 bonds that we have for Allison. But when we merged, how many bonds do we have outstanding?
The only other debt that we have is the general obligation bond for this building. And that goes back on the taxpayers, whereas this comes out of the sales tax from statewide. That general obligation bond, we pay $200,000 a year out of Pepple or sales tax on that to buy down the tax rate at this end, so that the tax rates are about even.
And how many bonds is that? Is that just one, or is there a couple bonds out there?
I don't know how it works. It's just one payment.
Right, I don't
It's
know.
just one payment a year. I don't know how it.
Bonds that are in that one
Yeah.
payment, that it's just, the payment's twice a year.
What's the balance of the loss fund? Is that carried within the Pepple fund?
No,
No, it's
We have-
separate.
we have that capital projects.
The capital projects fund under that?
The Pepple right now, and these are interchangeable for most stuff, the Pepple fund, we have a balance of 581,000 in 1 cent sales tax, because we've been paying most of the projects out of that. Right now, there's a balance of right under 450,000. So we're still setting the balance of just over $1 million in those 2 accounts. So I don't think we're hurting by any means. I think it's a good idea for us to save interest when we can.
And we get about $50,000 a month back into the.
Yep, so over the
cycle account.
next 6 months, we'll gain another $300,000 into the 1 cent sales tax account.
So 2.5 months worth of money on our sales account money would basically pay that off.
2 months at this point.
What's our interest rate on the bond? Any idea versus?
1.4.
Yeah, it's like 1.4.
How about what we get, where we've got our sales tax money sitting in that account?
no, you don't get that
Won't
kind of
be
money in a
anything,
savings
so-
account.
So we'd be saving
But
the
it's better
interest
to,
money.
yeah,
Right.
but it's better to collect a little bit of interest than be paying it.
The
Right.
bonds are gonna be paid off there's only 2
2017.
year,
Yeah.
there's 2 years left. My only thought was like, if we end up having to get more bonds to do some kind of a project, why are we paying off the bond? That's not
Because you
really-
can't have more than one revenue bond out at a time.
Okay, well, then that makes sense, I guess.
So we have the bonds that say green historic.
Yes,
Right.
and that's different, that's not the same as this. That's a general obligation bond that is taxed through the property tax collection.
Okay, and then we have bonds that say North Butler bonds that we don't.
There's nothing that's been bonded since North Butler's been a school district that I'm aware of.
They just,
So what are the bonds that say 2011?
that's when they switched them,
This-
because that's
yeah.
when,
They refinanced the bond on this building at that point.
Okay, so the
Because
bonds
it was
that
lower
are dated
interest rate.
2001, that say green historic, okay?
Yep.
So 2001, and then it says refunded in 2011. What bonds are those?
That's the general obligation bond for this building because they got a better interest rate.
And that's why we refinanced it, because we got a better interest rate.
Okay, so these outstanding bonds are on the Allison building.
This revenue bond is, yes.
Is
It was for roofing and windows, is what I found.
So the benefit to paying off this bond is that we're gonna save $6,500 in interest, and if we need to get another bond for repairs, we will be able to.
Right.
If we have this bond and we don't pay it off, we'll not be able to get another bond, so there's
Correct.
2 benefits.
Yep.
The money that we spend could not be better utilized to benefit our students in another way, because we have plenty more.
The only thing that these accounts can pay for as far as students really are buildings and
Right.
technology.
Mhm.
And we're not gonna buy $1 million technology right now. Do we have some other work that we need to do? Yes. But I also been playing with this a little bit. Right now, we haven't prioritized any of the projects that you and I talked about and that we've
Mhm.
talked about yet, and we'll do that in January. But right now, if we do this enclosed walkway, which I don't think we're probably gonna do at some point, you know, we're only looking at $200,000 worth of projects over the next 5 years right now. And, you know, our revenue is gonna be over $4 million. Yeah, the roofs will be there, but, you know, we're gonna have $5 million of revenue. So we'll have plenty of room to do those things, I think.
I think out of $5 million, 96,000
It's pretty small.
for, there's 2 benefits that we've listed.
And I understand your hesitancy and wanting to make sure that we have the money. I just think that anytime we can save interest, we should. And if we need to go ahead and do some of the stuff with these roofs down the line, like number one, I think that we don't recognize doing roofs. I think there's some other things that, if we're gonna get a revenue bond, we get enough to do some significant repairs and stuff with, so. Any other upkeep that we wanna do at that point, or additions or whatever. You know, we talked about adding more room at the shop or knocking a wall down here and there for some of that stuff, so. You know, I think there's some different things that we can look at that point too. But I think even with all the repairs and stuff that we have on that list, you know, I think we're probably under $1 million on that list for the next 5 years. So that leaves a lot of money for infrastructure.
I just think it's still a little early right now. I'd rather wait and look at the list of repairs and stuff that we have coming up before we pay off a bond.
That's what I had now, yeah. That's not it.
I mean, to save interest, to save that would be great, but it still makes me nervous.
But most of the projects that we have are fairly insignificant projects. I think the biggest one's probably a $50,000 or $60,000 project, and that'd be Tuck Pointe.
And you gotta remember, we're getting
Both roofs are
$50,000 a
leaking.
month back in from
Yeah.
the sales tax money.
And then we have our PEPAL fund too.
Right. So, you know, we're gonna get that money back in pretty fast. That would cover this, plus we'd still get you would save the $6,500 in interest. You know, because that money's sitting there not doing us anything right now.
Right
It's
now,
sitting in that
right now,
account.
our revenue's about a little over $830,000 a year between the PEPAL and 1 cent sales tax.
Sorry, it was what?
It's a little over $830,000 a year. It went up a little bit in the last month because they upped our per pupil rate on the sales tax.
What about a new bus barn or updating the bus barn here? I mean, that's kind of a.
That could be
bigger
part, that could be
expense
part
where-
of it too, yes. I mean, that's why I say, if we're gonna get revenue bonds, then we do the big things that we need to do at that point.
To turn around and get more bonds.
If that's what we're going to do, yeah. If we have some bigger projects, so you don't drain completely out your infrastructure funds. But we'll just have to look and see what the projects are gonna cost as we go. We'll have a rough idea of the roof in January, after I meet with Dennis.
I guess I would like to wait until we have a better understanding about the roof and some of the other things we need to fix.
But if we need to fix the roof, we would probably still need to take another revenue bond, correct?
It depends on how much it's gonna cost.
And we couldn't do that unless we get rid of this one.
Correct.
But,
But we still could turn back around and do this again in the spring if we.
right, I mean,
That's
because the
what we want to
payments
do
aren't
after
due
we
right
find
till
out.
June on this, I mean.
We just made an interest payment, right? And so the next payment's due June 1st. So all it is a email to Matthew, with, hey, we don't wanna do this right now, but maybe look at it again in the spring, and then an email saying, hey, we wanna do it now, and they'll kick it back. So it took them about a day and a half to get this all figured out and get the wording on everything put together with the lawyer and all that.
So we got a couple options. We can table it till next month and more discussion. We can vote on the motion we have, or this action item. It's up to you guys, I guess. No, I know we don't have a motion yet, but we've got a.
Right
discussion
now,
item.
that you made, do we have to pay anything more, do we pay a monthly payment on it? or anything?
It's
We
just
pay
twice a
one
year.
Twice a
payment
year.
and then it's paid, so we don't,
We pay interest twice a year, we pay the principal once a year.
okay. So really, it's not gonna hurt us that much to wait.
Other than the
No,
interest.
the savings will go down a little bit, but on the interest.
I think to be responsible, I agree with, I'll make a motion not to,
You have to make a positive motion.
okay.
To
I
table.
make a motion to table the early payment of the revenue bond until June or May.
You just have to table the motion.
Yeah.
You can't,
Okay.
that's all you have to do.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion to table the early payment for the revenue bonds. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? So motion carries. Item 9A, the SBRC administrative costs of River Hills.
We send students to River Hills and Cedar Falls. And part of our cost for that is administrative costs. We are able to petition the SBRC to get those administrative costs back, but we don't know what they are at this point. We just need to have a motion to do that. You have the motion here somewhere, right?
Yeah, it's on my computer,
Oh,
though.
I thought you-
Didn't I
Close it.
email it to you?
I closed my email. I'll look back. I thought I wrote it down.
I didn't. John's way.
Alright, this is just, can't read that. Can you read that, anyone?
Yeah, I
That's what
can.
the motion needs
Do you
to
want me
say.
to vote- approve the application to the school budget review committee for special education administrative costs associated with the River Hills Consortium program in the 2015-16 school year?
That's all. She's already got it in there.
Okay, so we have a motion, can we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? So the motion carries. We'll skip item 10 for our exempt session until the end. Move on to human resources. Any resignations?
Nope. We already did it.
Okay. New contracts?
Yep, we have Mark Dye for custodian. We took applications, Dan and I interviewed 4, right? Yep, 4 people last week.
What was his experience?
He's actually worked construction for quite a few years. I think his references checked out well, and he wants to get out of the weather. So he does have at least one student here, so.
Okay. So you need a motion to approve the contract for Mark Dye for custodian.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? So motion carries.
And then we have 3 subs and a volunteer for basketball. The subs are Vernon Miller for bus, Daniel Schaefer is a teacher and para sub, Daniel Huseman, classified positions pending a background check, and then Cole Chambers for volunteer boys basketball.
I make a motion to approve the subs and volunteers.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. So the motion carries. Administrators' reports.
Our 5th and 6th graders did a really nice job on their Veterans Day program at our last month's meeting. I think it was being held the next day. Was really impressed with their maturity and hard work on the program. It was very nice. They did a great job. Our 5th grade students had their end of the DARE celebration that they had, the DARE program, working with Officer Lammers. They always celebrate and go to the W. They did swimming, rock climbing, racquetball, and a competitive game of dodgeball with Officer Lammers, so they had a great time. We had our PTO limo ride, which was for a fundraiser. I put K1, it was actually our PK1 in hindsight, went to the Gallagher Blue Dorn to see the tail of Peter Rabbit. On another note, our Athletic Leadership Council over here at the high school donated a buddy bench to the elementary. You've probably heard some PR on the news, not necessarily about North Butler, so to speak, but about buddy benches, that it's supposed to be a place on the playground where kids, if they don't have anybody to play with, they can go sit there, and then it's also a place for, kids, if they see somebody there, to include them. So it's on display in the front lobby, and now we need to get it out to the playground now. So the kids have enjoyed chattering about it and talking about it. So, and a couple of students from the Athletic Leadership Council presented it at one of our character counts assemblies. So they did a nice job as well. Our preschool classes are heading to the Christmas tree farm tomorrow. We have classes that come on Monday and Thursday and classes that come on Tuesday, Friday, and we incorporate it so that they can all go on the day. Honestly, we usually do them on the days that we have most of the kids there, but work it out so that they can all attend and we're not leaving out one section or the other. Over the next couple weeks, Ms. Wilson is having our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders heading over to the Allison Nursing Home, and they'll be singing some of the holiday songs for the residents. Our elementary students kicked off a new pillar of character for the month of November and December. We kind of put them together this time. And they focus on the pillar of caring. And they've been collecting food for the food pantry and Toys for Tots. And we cleared out part of the trophy case, and they had that filled once, and Toys for Tots came. Well, we put the toys in the trophy case, and we put the food on tables, and other than the Little Debbie snacks, we weren't quite as worried about the toys or the food being out there. People are not as excited about canned goods when they walk by as they are about a new Barbie or a set of Legos. So those were only in the display case. They had it filled once. Toys for Tots came and collected once already because it was getting close to their distribution time. And then they will be collecting again as it gets closer for more of their last minute ones or more emergencies that come up. So the kids are excited. They're excited to bring them in and talk about those. So they've done a nice job. Our intent is to split the food between the Green and the Allison food pantries. So next week, our PTO will be having a Santa shop. so that the kids can shop for gifts for their families. The items all cost $1. Our PTO members work all year long to find inexpensive things or clearance items or get donated things that the kids can buy for family members. All gifts cost $1 and they're allowed to buy 10 things. So they have thousands and thousands of items stocked up in the back room of one of the classrooms ready to go. So that will be a fun, exciting day for the kids. The classrooms sign up for a block of time that's about 45 minutes to an hour. So they're not missing tons of instruction, but they do get to do that, and it's a fun time for them and quite a memory, and I think quite a memory for the families too, as they open it up and see what their child picked out for them. So, and then Monday evening is our 5th and 6th grade winter concert at 7 o'clock. One of the changes that we made this year that I want to let you know, or to talk about just for a few minutes, because we're getting lots of phone calls, and I've put it in my newsletters each week, but we kind of changed the setup of our holiday concerts. You know, there's pros and cons to doing concerts different ways. And in the past, traditionally, Green had an elementary concert and Allison had one. One thing that the concerts were always about 25, 30 minutes in length, and they were wonderful. The kids always did a great job. But you saw your child perform for about 5 minutes, you know, because they sang 2 or 3 short songs. So one thing the specials team, art, music, PE, media, that they really talked about was how they could change the concerts up a little bit so that the kids were more focused, that you got to see your child do more things when you came for that program. So most of the concerts will be later in the spring. Performance is one component of our music curriculum. And so when your child's concert comes up, there's the 2nd, 3rd grade or it'd be 1st and 2nd grade, or a 3rd and 4th grade concert comes up, not only will they be focused and accented more, and you'll see more events, but you'll also see their artwork on display and kind of an art show. There's going to be some PE demonstrations of some dances or activities that they've been doing in PE. So you won't have as many concerts, you'll have one, but our goal is to have it more focused so that when you come, you'll see more of a spotlight of your child. So something we wanted to try this year to see how it would go. But you know, I know anytime change is hard. There are some people saying, you know, hooray, December's so busy, it's hard to fit everything in, and then there's others that are teary-eyed that there's not a Christmas program this year. So, you know, if you hear that in the community, you know, that's why the change it was made. It wasn't that we didn't have room, it wasn't that there wasn't nights on the calendar. It was really more of trying to find a night that we could really focus on the kids rather than just a quick snippet of a 2-minute performance, or a 5-minute performance. So you might hear some rumblings about that. I've really tried to put it in the newsletter multiple weeks, and I'll put it back in again this week to change it up a little bit. But you know, we are getting some phone calls and a little bit of confusion on that. So we keep saying it's in the newsletter, keep reading the newsletter, put that in there. But so we've gotten some feedback about that. So I wanted to explain to you why that was changed the way it was. So and I think that's it for the elementary. Otherwise, we're just trucking away. So Dan.
At both buildings, we've completed the Iowa assessments. The materials were sent in, and we've got our results back yesterday, and we're just beginning the process of looking over. And it's really important to us as a staff, that we look and see how students are doing, and this is one indicator of student achievement. So we're always anxious to see, you know, where there might be strengths and where there are areas to develop. And we hope maybe in January we'll be able to give you a pretty good report of how those results were. We've met, I think a couple days ago. We have a committee at the junior senior high that works on what we call our multi-tiered system of supports, our flex learning time, looking at data, looking at, you know, how are things going with the merging of the 2 processes. We looked at attendance data, we looked at grade data at first quarter and at midterm grades, just to see where they're at and who might need some help and who might need some enrichment. So that was a good process, and we continue to review that process. Right now, students are meeting with Mrs. Clark to look over 2nd semester schedules. Students are signing up for PSEO courses through NIAC. Some events that took place recently, a lot of things going on obviously at the high school, a lot of opportunities for students. A dance team went Thursday, December 3rd, and had 2 performances. One was a hip hop and one was with pom-poms, and this is the first time ever each of those groups got Division I ratings in their in their class. Mrs. Erin Drolly volunteers and just does a super job with those kids. Jazz band performed at a district jazz competition in Fort Dodge on Saturday the 5th. On the same day, Mrs. Clark took some speech students to top of Iowa Conference speech competition. That's kind of a warm up to large group speech that will be taking place in January, I believe. Is that, Addison, were you part of that? Were you able to make that group?
Yep, a lot of fun.
Good. Our junior high student council members with Mrs. Miller will go to the courthouse in Allison, I believe, on Friday, December 11th, and participate in a service project helping Butler County families in need. Mr. Hanson, our ag teacher, has done a good job of working with NIAC to get a grant that will pay for a field trip for our industrial tech students and our ag students. December 14th, they'll have the whole day touring 2 John Deere plants in Waterloo. They'll tour the engine works, and then they'll do the tractor cab assembly, and that's all. The whole thing is paid through by NIAC. We'll have some students attend the Salvation Army in Mason City on Thursday, December 17th, as part of a conference-wide, top of Iowa conference-wide service project to help the Salvation Army there in that area. Our concert, the 7 through 12, it's band and vocal, will be the Thursday, December 17th at 7 o'clock in the old gym. We've got the parts on order for our front doors there that come up once you get up the stairs, and the last doors you go through to the cafeteria. The parts, they came out and they can use our existing doors. They just need to add some hardware to them and get that installed. And once that's done, we'll have everybody who comes in will have to come in through the office on the buzz-in system. We hope that'll all be ready to go by second semester. As of today, we've started putting portable stop signs out on 5th Street at the end of the building at each of those intersections. They'll be put out first thing in the morning and then put away probably 4:30, 5 o'clock. We worked with the City of Greene in this process. We just want to get people slowing down as they come by the high school there. Sometimes they can get going pretty good. Mr. Brown's shop students constructed those stop signs. At this point, this will be about all I have.
Okay, in professional development, teachers have been reading the book called The Energy Bus, which I think you on the board got a copy of also. Had some really good discussions today about the power of positive energy. And so we will continue that several different sessions throughout the year. 9 teachers attended the AEA 267 Learning with Technology Conference last Thursday and Friday. If you went Thursday, if you went Friday, so we didn't have to get that many subs on one day. And in addition, 4 of our teachers from North Butler presented at the conference. So I think we have a lot of teachers actually that could just step into those roles to present because they're doing a lot of great things in their classrooms. And we also have had our first round of teacher quality wrap up this semester. We've had 200 hours of work beyond the regular school hour for collaboration and technology integration. And through those funds and the collaboration time that's been provided with TQ funds, they've been able to integrate technology to a much greater degree. We also have been analyzing textbook series. We're really looking closely at 2. We have been meeting with the representatives from those companies and expect or hope to have a decision made by the end of January, beginning of February. We're going to start looking at creating a needs assessment survey in January to look at with the SIAC teams. So if you have any suggestions for that, questions that we'd want to ask parents, community, students, please send them my direction. I talked last time about the new ESL assessment that's going to start this year, and it is online. The training for that is starting this next week. Science team, we talked about the new science standards also last time. There's training for that coming up in February and April, and we've got a team of teachers signed up to go to that. And also, we're really anxious to hear about the TLC grant, but Mrs. Wedekin and I are going to attend a training on that for administrators and bring home our notes tomorrow. It should be really good training with Diane Sweeney, which is the model that they're following right now for coaching. And then there will be more of those sessions for teachers coming later in the year. By then, if we get the funding for that, we should know who those teachers are gonna be and we can send them to that. It's pretty late, maybe in April or May. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Foster.
Okay, Cardinal ATC did the drilling at the elementary and to set up the test wells and stuff last week. Hopefully they'll have the results soon. I sent a letter to the DOT district office this week asking that the district be able to obtain the land that is in the bus barn area that is right now state right away. The bus barn actually sits right down the middle of the bus barn is split by state right away land. For some reason, there's a chunk of land there that after they built the highway back in the late 60s or whatever it was, there's two pieces of land that were disposed of by the state and given back to the school district. This one piece wasn't for some reason, and a bus barn got built there. Don't know how it got done, but we're working on that. Steve Bussey's helped with that. He actually wrote the letter, and then I had Mandy type it up and put it on school letterhead, and we sent all the other stuff in, the deeds for the other sections of land and and everything else. And Steve says this could be up to a 6-month process to get that taken care of with that particular chunk of land. So I had a phone call from Troy Feldman. He and his group are still interested in the building, and the city's still interested in the building. So if we get to that point, then we'll have to kind of figure out what's going on with it, but we gotta get the legal descriptions done before we can do anything with it, and Steve's working on that for us, and part of that will be getting all that other stuff taken care of with the legal work with the state, so. The teacher leadership grant notification, I got an email this afternoon, said we should get a notification from the director of department head tomorrow, prior to 1 o'clock on that. Deadline for the early retirement applications is January 4th. I'm not sure of anyone other than Rick at this point who's planning on turning in the retirement papers. I know several of the teachers have expressed that they were not going to. I haven't pushed anybody because I don't think it's our job to push them. I think it's something we offer them, and then it's a decision that they have to make. So, I talked about Mr. McAlpine and his students about visiting KWWL and some of the other things that are going on with that. Mr. Huff and I have spoken with Mr. Brown a little bit about the possibilities of changing some of his offerings for next year, and he's actually approached us about some of it. And also about the possibility of producing some products that could be sold, to put funds back into this program for supplies and equipment. We could work with the marketing class to do some of that. It's just different things that we've talked about.
Nashua has they sell cookies and baked goods and stuff like that. We talked to a lady down at the convention. Do you
Yeah,
remember that?
this would be more like, they could
But,
do
yeah, it would
signs
be-
and stuff with the plasma cutter, the router,
Right.
and then they would finish them
Same
in that,
kind of
and, yep.
principle.
So, I talked about the classes doing the videos for the communities. Mr. Huff and I are gonna meet with NIAC's president, their K-12 liaison, and Josh Burns, who's the head of the vocational programs, on the 18th. And I think you're gonna come to that too, probably, aren't you? And we're gonna talk about the possibility of working together to provide a larger variety of vocational offerings in our area. Some of the schools in the southern part of the state and some of the other counties in the state are, they have what they're calling regional academies, where they offer some different vocational classes. Keokuk County down in Sigourney, they have a welding place. Their kids get certified as welders. They get CNA licenses. They're doing some other computer stuff in theirs. It's just a separate building on their campus. Those are things that we need to be able to provide our kids, I think. And we had our superintendent's meeting at NIAC last week, and during that time, that was one of the things that Steve Schultz, their president, talked about. And I jumped all over that and told them that we'd be more than willing to work with them to help pilot that in this area, because I think those are things that we need to be able to offer our kids, and we've talked about that before. I think a big need in this area would be with nursing, to get our kids certified to CNA. We need a building trades program, at least that's what I hear from everybody in both communities. We need carpenters, we need electricians, we need plumbers, those types of things, and a welding program where the kids can come out certified to weld. Kids are leaving high school certified to weld, making $19, $20 an hour. That's a darn good living, and not every kid's made to go to a 4-year college. It's another way to get our kids college credit, and we'll sit down and talk to them and see what it would look like, what they're thinking, what our expectations are, and vocational teachers are really hard to find. To replace one of our vocational teachers would be really difficult. 3 years ago, where I was at, I had to hire a voc ag teacher, and I started looking in April, and on August 14th, I hired somebody to start on August 20th. We called every school in the country that had ag students graduate, and we finally got one at Oklahoma State that didn't have a job, and it took about 3 weeks of school to find out why he didn't have a job. He went back to Oklahoma at Christmas time. So some of those things, family consumer science, ag, industrial technology, those are hard to fill positions. So if we can work together with NIAC and some of our neighbors, then each school wouldn't have to have a teacher in those areas. So it might be easier to fit it in. We could have it like a center where kids from here go, Hampton, Dumont, Rockford, or some of the other schools the other way. It wouldn't matter which way. I do know Hampton Dumont may be interested in this, talking to Todd over there, because he was sitting next to me at this meeting. But it would allow us to offer more classes within each school district without having each district have to have a teacher in those areas. And then we wouldn't be eating all the costs for that either.
So would there be some sharing money for that
There'd be
also?
sharing money for that also. The regional academies come with some additional weighting through the state.
How would that, do they like go at night or when?
No, it would be something probably where we would set it up so they would go half a day, so there wouldn't be a lot of traveling involved. It might be something where we set up a language arts class there. So you have juniors and seniors that are taking classes. If they're gonna go be a welder or something like that, they don't need the same language arts class that somebody that's gonna go to college is gonna need. A welder probably doesn't care about Edgar Allan Poe very much, but they're gonna need to know how to write daily logs and how to communicate effectively, and we could have some sort of a practical language arts class for those kids out there. So we could meet their needs that way. So it's something that I definitely think we need to talk about and look at.
So you're saying these programs would be housed at NIAC? or
No,
not necessarily?
they would be housed somewhere where we would agree upon with whoever was involved in this consortium.
Okay.
So that's why we want to get on it, and
We have a building for it.
we have all
An
kinds of
empty
place
one.
for it. Yes, we do. So I know another school district that kind of throwing something like that out too, and we don't want to wait and let somebody else make that decision for us.
Right.
We want to be at the forefront. So. Heller already talked about the elementary reading curriculum, so.
Do you have a projected cost on that yet?
No,
None.
no idea. It's probably something that'll take a year and a half to set up. So. We're replacing all the radios in the buses to digital models. We've been having some issues reaching with the radios right now and hearing everything, so we're hoping that'll help solve the issues. And we're probably gonna have to put up another repeater. We have a repeater, I believe, on Troy Feldman's farm right now. And the radio guys are telling us we probably need to put another one up down in Allison somewhere. So we're checking into that, but we've been having some issues. Bus drivers not being able to hear each other, and me not being able to hear the bus drivers. And when the weather's bad, we need to be able to hear. When we had the really bad weather one day and we let out, I couldn't hear Clarine calling. She was only a couple miles from the bus barn. Denise couldn't hear, and Denise was sitting at the bus barn waiting for her. And and just so you know, I don't leave those days until everybody's in, so, and Pat will stay too. I've talked to some of our neighbors about different things that we may be able to share moving forward. If there's a shortage of teachers and stuff, a lot of people are talking about a possibility of shortages in foreign language and that for the next year or two. Some of those harder filled positions would be a lot of things that people can look at sharing. So. Feedback from the legislative forum was really good. I believe it's something we should strive to do on an annual basis, if not more. It might be something that we look at doing again when they're in session. Once they get into session in the spring, when I see that they're having those breakfasts, those coffees on Saturday mornings, I try to get to those as often as I can. Like we talked about earlier, I'll work to continue to provide items to discuss with the legislators. Let me know if there's anything I can help you put together numbers or anything, if there's anything like that. I talked to Dan Cox at Charles City and John Carver at Howard Winnesheek when we were over at the new board member training, and they want to put together a day when all the boards and administration from our area get together and we go to Des Moines to talk to our legislators from this area. So that's something that I'll keep talking to those guys about and see what we can do about getting that set up. I think we're stronger in force, and if we're all passing the same messages along, I think that passes a better message than me calling them, beating them up on a daily basis, and you calling them every day and beating them up. That there's a stronger voice and really heard more.
Well, and if we're down there in their face too, that makes a difference, I think.
Yep.
Versus just calling them on the phone.
Yep.
A lot harder to ignore you when you're standing there looking at them.
And ISB and SAI will both have their legislative days, and I'll make sure I attend those too.
I think it's February 6th, I have it circled.
Yeah, and I don't know when SAI's is yet. It's usually about either a week before or a week after theirs. So that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Any reflections on the board meeting here tonight?
I'm really proud of these students that presented tonight. You are all amazing and very, very smart. That is awesome that you guys can do that in code, and I mean, what you showed us was excellent. I love that graphic that you had with the Bearcat on, I can't remember that first page, whichever page it was,
the
but,
landing page on the website.
yeah, you guys are a great example of how good North Butler is.
And when I was down at the conference, there was a lot of schools that didn't have the one-on-one computers and the technology that our schools have, and to see our students using it, I mean, it's amazing. I think our school is doing great.
I hear our teachers come back from the conferences and things, and they're talking about how far ahead we are of some of the other districts, you know, and that's something we need to keep striving for. And having Heather to be our technology integrationist, that's something that most schools don't have. They don't have somebody that can sit and work with the teachers and help and give them the professional development. So I think that's a bonus for us, and that's something that helps make us strong in that area.
Any other comments? Okay. We have to go into an exempt session, so I thank you all for coming, and okay.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
I'll second.
Thank you all for coming.
Practice, sound and talk.
You get ahead of yourself once in a while with that.